Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I am so happy to be back to recap Bills games again. As I mentioned within the last couple weeks, I do love training camp and everything that go along with it and all the takeaways and observations that I presented to you guys with those few episodes throughout. But there's just something so refreshing and gratifying, if you will, about a whole year waiting until Buffalo Bills football again. I do want to get one side note out of the way quick. Unfortunately, my schedule didn't line up correctly, and I was really busy at the end of last week. So I'm sorry, but I was unfortunately unable to get a preview out to you guys. I had it all prepared. I just had some run-ins, if you will, with my schedule. So sorry about that. But I am here for my Bills preseason opener game recap against the Chicago Bears. Before we dive too deep into things, I do want to let you know that if you weren't with me last year, then this will be your first taste of how my recaps will go, and this will be the format. And if you were with me here on this podcast and enjoyed Around the Slice for any amount of time last year, either watching all year, popping in here and there, then welcome back, and I appreciate you sticking with me throughout this whole time. So anyway, let's just without further ado, let's just get into it. I always present you guys with this base score first, so let's just unfortunately it's not good. The Chicago Bears beat the Buffalo Bills, mind you, in Orchard Park. This is not in Chicago. Bills are home in Orchard Park. Bears 33, Bills 6. So Bears won 30-36. That's a 27-point victory for the Chicago Bears. Before we get into my stock report, which stock up and then stock down, who impressed, who disappointed, yada, yada, all that. I do want to say I always like to do this, sum up the game, victory, loss, and anything in between, whatever, sum up a Bills game in just one word. And that word for this game against the Bears in this preseason opener, one word, would be sloppy. I would, like, in all caps, sloppy, because this was a very sloppy game from the Bills. I feel like no one had energy, whether it was starters, backup / second stringers, and third stringers / practice squad hopefuls and fringe roster guys fight and bubble guys fighting for roster spots that needed to step up. Like, no one stepped up, and they just had low energy. Low energy in the form of like missing tackles all the time, but like not even that, just like getting up after plays, kind of having that swagger, having that energy in between plays. Like, unfortunately, I just didn't see any of that. Like, I hate to say that about my own team, but I got to be honest here on this podcast. If you were with me last year, you know that I'm a very honest person on here, and it wasn't looking good. So, anyway, let's get up to my stock report. First, we have stock up. Obviously, there's a lot of players here for preseason in this stock report. They cast a wider net, if you will, in preseason with all the different rosters shuffling and whatnot. You guys battling for roster spots. My first player with a stock up is running back Frank Gore Jr. He didn't come in till the fourth quarter for Shane Buechele and didn't get very many touches. But in the limited action I did see, I kind of liked what I saw. 7 carries for 21 yards, 3 catches for 16 yards. I don't really care about the carries part, but he was effective on the checkdowns. They weren't necessarily screens, but they were little checkdowns from Shane Buechele. So I'm really intrigued by Frank Gore Jr. I think he's battling Darrington Evans right now for the practice squad RB, because usually only keep one. Like, it's rare to keep 2, really, for any team, especially the Bills in this case. I would give a slight leg up to Darrington Evans right now, but if Darrington Evans can't prove anything in the return game, which is his only attribute at this point in his young NFL career still, then Frank Gore Jr. could really push. Maybe they do. Frank Gore Jr. does force them to keep 2 practice squad running backs in the form of Darrington Evans and Frank Gore Jr. Who knows? And then speaking of running backs, Ray Davis. He had 5 carries for 2 yards. Okay, whatever. Not a lot of raw rushing production, but 3 catches for 19 yards. And yeah, he got a couple of those are checkdowns, and this one was kind of a medium / long pass from Mitchell Trubisky. It was. But, like, he wasn't being used on just checkdowns. Like, he was lining up in the slot. He was lining up on wheel routes out of the backfield. Like, they weren't just using him for screens and checkdowns. Like, he was actually running routes. And he had this really nice route to the sideline where he was streaking down the sideline, and he caught like a 15-yard pass from Mitchell Trubisky. Now, unfortunately, it was called back because of the stupid penalty, holding on offense, I think it was. It was the backup behind. It doesn't matter. But I really like that. And at Ray Davis, all 3 stops, he went to Vanderbilt, some other school. Sorry, I can't remember it now off the top of my head. And then Kentucky in that order. And all 3 of those schools like had pass catching chops there, and not just simple checkdowns or simple screens, like actual wheel routes, actual lining up in the slot routes. And also, something I was very surprised at, Ray Davis, he was very good in pass protection in this game. Like, he more than held his own in pass protection. And we know Ty Johnson is injured right now. And we know Franco Jr. and Darrington Evans are practice squad candidates and can't pass protect with a lick of anything. James Cook, I love the guy, but his frame doesn't suggest that. And we'll touch on that later, in fact. But Ray Davis, I think he will emerge as the pass protector out of this whole group just out of necessity and by default. But I really like what I saw. And then wide receiver Khalil Shakir, he just doesn't drop anything. I think it's really cool that for the last 2 off seasons, last offseason, this offseason, respectively, he's worked with Buffalo Bills great and Buffalo Bills legend. Is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I think he's in the Bills Ring of Honor. You'll have to check me on the NFL Hall of Fame status in the comments below. But Eric Moulds, I think it's really cool that he's working with him. And his rookie year, even the preseason last year going into the second year, his hands were very questionable. He would make tough catches, but he would drop easy ones. Not this year, whether it's practice, training camp, preseason. He makes the easy catches and the tough catches. He only had 3 catches to 28 yards. That's not my takeaway here, the raw numbers. 3 catches for 20 yards is okay, whatever. But he had 3 targets and 3 catches. So 3 of 3 on catches. He never drops anything. And he makes it seem so smooth. And he never gets rattled out there. He just does everything. Maybe he doesn't do anything at excellent level, but he just provides a little bit of everything and gives you a little bit of everything at such a consistent level. Great run after catch ability. Amazing route runner. And maybe he's not the biggest downfield threat, but he has underrated speed. He's not some top-end athlete. He's not some like Tyreek Hill, but who is? He's not some burner. But he has underrated speed. He has underrated juice once he gets the ball in his hands and stuff is blocked for him. And he's also very much improved in his pass and run blocking as a wide receiver, blocking chops. Because in his rookie year, it's pretty dreadful at that. He tried, wasn't very good. He's really improved that. So I really just like his consistency. He drops literally nothing. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel, 2 catches for 23 yards. The usage here is what really got me to put him in the stock up category. The usage of Curtis Samuel this year is going to be so fascinating to me. I'm going to be glued to the obviously, I'll be glued to the TV for every Bills game, especially week 1 against the Cardinals, so that's no shocker there. But I will specifically have my eyes glued in that sense to Curtis Samuel, because in this game, he was in with Josh Allen. Took some of Mitch Trubisky, but both his catches came with Josh Allen in, I believe. At least the first one did. He took a screen pass, not to the house, but to the touch end zone, but he took a screen pass for 15 yards. He evaded a few tackles. He made a few guys with a couple of nice juke moves, and I really am intrigued by that this year. Whether it's in the backfield and then he splits out wide afterwards, or whether it's just pure bubble screens, he is lethal in that area and category and what have you. Last year, it was Stephon Diggs, who Josh Allen and who we would give those bubble screens to. And he had no interest in doing it. 1, because he couldn't. 2, because he didn't want to risk his body like that. Apparently, he didn't want to. Now we have guys that can actually run those screen plays. Yes, Ray Davis, but to a bigger extent and lengthier extent, if you will, Curtis Samuel. So I'm really intrigued and fascinated by that aspect of the game. He's not in stock up because of the raw numbers, but his usage suggested that he should be in stock up for me. And the linebacker, Dorian Williams, he was the best defensive player, in my opinion, out of all 3 units, starting, backup, third stringers. 6 tackles, a sack, a TFL, and 1 QB hit. I said this multiple times on this podcast. Last year, this offseason, preseason, last preseason, whatever. Dorian Williams going to second year. He has a very fast trigger to get off the ball. Once that other QB says hike, boom, he's gone off the line, whether it's as the disguise coverage, whether that's in disguise blitzer. When he's able to go north-south and work downhill and fly around the field, he's awesome. Now, when he has to go east and west and backpedal and pick up tight ends and even running, to a lesser extent, running backs in coverage, he can't really do it, guys. I wish he would improve, but he has a lot to improve on in that category. So, synopsis here, Jordan Williams. Great fast trigger. Very hell of a fast trigger. North and south downhill player, great. He's best as a blitzer, flying around the field, whatever. But when he has to pick up tight ends and running back, his coverage ability leaves a lot to be desired. Like, it's very poor right now. But he is clearly LB3 for this team, and who knows, he can get in certain sub packages when you want to go disguise coverage with with a couple of linebackers and have Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard handle the coverage abilities, and just have Jordan Williams come in and be as they're known, a heat-seeking missile, if you will. So that will be really interesting. And then safety Kendall Williamson, who's like a very, very, very long shot to make the roster, but probably a prime practice squad candidate. Safety Kendall Williamson. He had 5 tackles and 1 pass deflection, 1 PD. So 5 tackles and 1 pass deflection. He was really intriguing with all the safety injuries. So he got a bunch of run with the second team safety unit, him and Cam Lewis, after Taylor Epp and Damar Hamlin. We'll discuss injuries in a little bit after the stock report stack down ends and what have you. But Kendall Williams, I know he had that one dirty late hit on DeAndre Carter, and I agree. It was a late out of bounds. It was pretty dirty. Got to knock that crap off, but you can't do that. But I really like this tenacity. I really like to flew around the field. Fly? I don't know. I really like to flew around the field. So, yeah. And then a couple linebackers here. We're going to start with linebacker Deion Jones. He had 5 tackles, nothing special, but I thought he really had a nice stick on a couple of guys. What I mean by that is he had a couple of nice defensive stops where if they got past him, they were going to the touchdown, but he was able to limit them to a 1 or 2 yard gain. And then a linebacker, Joe Andreessen. He had 4 tackles, but the story here is really cool. If you guys aren't aware, linebacker Joe Andreessen is a UDFA from UB. So University of Buffalo. So he he grew up in Lancaster, New York, which is literally down the street from Highmark Stadium and right next door neighbors pretty much to Buffalo. And he grew up a diehard Bills fan. He went to some other college for his first 4 years of college. I should probably look this up. I don't remember. And then his final 5th senior in college, in college, he transferred to UB. So it's just really cool to see him as a UDFA from UB get this opportunity. And he had a couple nice reps in coverage and a couple nice sticks and tackles. So that was really cool to see. It's the story alone. And then cornerback Rasul Douglas, he had 3 tackles and 1 TFL. Again, he wasn't there very long, literally 1 defensive drive. But the 1 TFL was really nice. It was 4th and 1, and I think it was Demetric Felton. The Bears essentially released him, but from a couple of days ago. But it's neither here nor there because he got stopped on 4th and 1. It was in a 2 yard loss, and Rasul Douglas gave the ball back to Josh Allen, who stayed out there for his second series with the starters. I didn't agree with it, but Rasul Douglas making plays and flying around. And then defensive end Cameron Klein, 3 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. I didn't think any of the defensive ends particularly wowed in this game, but Cameron Klein and another one we'll talk about in a minute is stock up in the stock report too, in the stock up category. Had a nice game too, but Cameron Klein is he's a back squad lock, but he's a sneaky guy to make the 53 is that 5th, or if they want to go heavy, 6th defensive end spot. And then cornerback Corey Couch, he had 3 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Him and Kanai Lovely are 2 UDFA corners that I'm really paying attention to. I don't think either of them, actually I know for a fact either of them won't bump Jamarcus Ingram off the 53 is that 4th outside corner and that 6th corner overall. And they're not keeping 7 corners, 5 outside, 2 slot. And they're not keeping 7 corners total. That's kind of stupid. Way too much. So 5 or 6 is the sweet spot. Jamarcus Ingram hanging on there at the end. But Corey Couch, I really like to have seen from these 2 UDFA corners, and Corey Couch and Kanai Lovely. Corey Couch, can't remember his school, but I love he's from Western Michigan. Defensive tackle Austin Johnson, 2 tackles and 1 QB hit. I really liked, he's known as a stalwart, maybe not stalwart, but he's known as a step down from Daquan Jones as a run stuffer. But the main thing here is I really like the pass rush moves he showed off. I keep hammering this point home, but I think this is an underrated storyline. How the Bills have improved their defensive tackle rotation, depth, room overall, however you want to look at it, and term it, and what have you, vastly. Last year, it was Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, and then yikes if those guys got injured. After Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones, the group this year of Austin Johnson, Dwayne Carter, Deshaun Williams, even Elianku, who's been in the practice squad for the last few years, even Gable Stevenson, who we can hopefully develop for 1 or 2 years at least in the practice squad, is so much better than whenever the hell Puna Ford, Tim Settle, Jordan Phillips were last year. Like, that depth was horrible. And I don't, just to put it bluntly, guys, like, that depth was horrible. So if Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones, after the huge piece of this defense and defensive tackle room, specifically in general, if either of them get injured, of course it's a step down, but it's not like an awful step down. We're not like pulling our hair out watching these guys like we did last year. So that's just my moral of the story there. And then defensive end Javon Salmon, he had 2 really nice tackles. Two really nice tackles. Obviously, he's known for getting after the QB, very high production at Troy. He played at Troy for 4 years, and he had 27.5 sacks total over those 4 years. And he's the Troy all-time leading sack artist, all-time leading sacks in Troy football history. And that's really impressive because I always get the same screwed up. And I never even watched him, but I asked my dad, so hold on. AC Uniora, I think is his name, the Giants pass rusher guy. I don't know. I have to research. And then, but I do know DeMarcus Ware, and he even beat out Javon Salmon that has beat out DeMarcus Ware for most sacks in Troy football history. So that's really, really impressive. But he was known as having pretty severe run limitations. So if he was going to make this roster, he was going to have to do it getting after the quarterback, if you will, getting after the quarterback, I should say, rather. And 3rd and long, 4th and long, along the down to play a big part in special teams. But the 2 tackles were like run stops. Like on this one tackle, he came flying from the other side of the field as a defensive end. He was on the other side of the line, and no clue. I think it was Ian Wheeler or something, the Bears running back with the 3rd stringers. And he came flying over to make that run stop and tackle him for like only a 1 or 2 yard gain. It might have even been no gain, but like if he can have juice as a pass rusher and be okay and serviceable, decent, whatever adjective you want to use, as a run stopper, then he'll get on the field even more than expected as a rookie in year 1. And then corner back Kyrie Elam, 2 tackles. Okay, great, nothing impressive. I thought I could have sworn he had a pass deflection, but ESPN, who I got all these stats from, so shout out to them quick, didn't tag him or credit him, whatever you want to call it, with a pass deflection, but his coverage was really good. Like, there were at least 2 reps where Caleb Williams was staring down his receiver, I feel like, and then Kyrie Elam was there in coverage, and he kind of, with his eyes, forced Caleb Williams to go to another spot and throw a couple incompletions. So Kyrie Elam, like, not directly, like, deflecting a pass and breaking up a pass, but, like, indirectly affecting the play by the way I just explained. And then kicker Tyler Bass. I was really nervous about Tyler Bass. Let me slow down. I was really nervous about Tyler Bass coming into this year because I thought he had a lot of work to do on long field goals, and he was just really inconsistent last year. His lowest kicking percentage since his rookie year, so we got to take that up, is a top 5-6 highest paid kicker in this league now. Kicker Tyler Bass, though, he was 2-2 in field goals on a long of 49. And that was really impressive because it was pretty windy there in Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park that day. It's pretty windy in Western New York, honestly, all weekend, including today. But Tyler Bass really impressed me with the 49-yard field goal he made. I wanted to see him boot it from long distance. But accuracy, and especially in the wind, was my main concern. And all good as of Saturday, so that's really encouraging. Stock down. Unfortunately, we do have to skew negative for a minute. QB Mitchell Trubisky. He was 10 of 18, 56%, 82 yards. What in the world was he doing out there? I thought coming in the preseason, I viewed Mr. Trubisky as a serviceable enough backup where if you had to play him for let's say 2 games, could he get you 1-1? Sure. Or 4 games, could he get you 2-2? Sure. The 500 rule with backup QBs. Have a good enough, serviceable enough, decent enough backup, however you want. Again, whatever adjective you want to use, excuse me. I thought he could do that. But he just looked so awful today. The biggest thing with him is his trigger is so slow. Like his arm wind up, I feel like takes forever. Like I'm sitting there screaming at the TV, like get the damn ball out. Because he's sitting there, he's like this. He's like back here, and he has to wind up. It takes forever, I feel like. His receivers are open like a few seconds before that, and I'm screaming, throw the ball. And he throws it way too late, and then a coverage guy's able to come over, and he throws it way too late. Good thing he didn't throw any interceptions, but there was a couple targets to Keon Coleman in the end zone where he overshot him twice in a row. Now, yes, you could say maybe he was forcing it to Keon as a rookie, wanted to get him his first NFL touchdown. I don't care. Like, Mitchell Trubisky's not serviceable anymore. I don't know. Like, maybe you need to demote Mitchell Trubisky to the practice squad and get a brand new backup. I really don't know. Like, if I see another showing like this, like, if he doesn't prove it all next week, like, we would call for a head here. Like, come on. QB Shane Buechele. Oh, my God, even worse. 6 of 10, 60% completion percentage, 1 interception. He was having a ball back there in the pocket. He was just running in circles and having the time of his life. Like, he literally did not even look like a practice squad caliber QB. He's just down there. Like I just said, he's running circles back there in the pocket, having the time of his life, and then just chucking it up whenever the hell he wants. No rhyme or reason, just chuck it up. No big deal. I mean, come on. And then that interception, he threw it right to the guy, Micah Bakersville, corner for the Bears, 13, whatever. This was just laughable. Like, I'm not an NFL, but I feel like if I was out there, Shane Buechele looked like me out there. Like, I could run around in circles and have the time of my life. I would have a blast out there like Shane Buechele did. I mean, come on. He did get injured, though. So, I didn't see him get injured, but apparently Sean McDermott said he suffered a neck injury and he's going to be out for a long time. I could see the Bills. They did this last year with Matt Barkley, come to an injury settlement right before cutdown day, in the few days leading up to cutdown day, which August 31st by 4 p.m. Eastern time. All teams have to get down from 90 to however many they're at right now to 53. But I could see them reaching injury settlement at Shane Buechele because they did sign Ben DiNucci just a few hours ago, earlier today. I mean, maybe I'm excited to see him more than freaking Shane Buechele anymore. And then also, player they signed was wide receiver Damiere Byrd. It's not looking good for KJ Hamler and Andy Isabella, or maybe even Chase Claypool since he's been out with that injury. But we'll get to that later on with more stock downs. Here he is, actually. Wide receiver KJ Hamler, 1 catch for 9 yards. He dropped a pass, so that doesn't help. But the big thing with him is he only provides kick and punt return ability. And on the depth chart, he was listed as the starting kick and punt returner, both. And if you can't even do the one thing you're supposed to do, the one thing I don't want to sound mean or rude, but like the one thing you're good for, then why you been on this team? The one thing is good for his kick and punt returns, and he muffed the freaking ball. I don't understand how you make the team if you can't even catch a kick, return, and do anything with it. Catch the ball. And Damiere Byrd, who's 5'7", 175, hasn't had a lot of kick and punt return opportunities in his career as a returner, respectively, but like, he's going to start getting those opportunities maybe as soon as Saturday in Pittsburgh against the Steelers for the second preseason game. I was not impressed with KJ Hamler. Like, I'm sorry. I thought he could be a sneaky candidate for this roster, but his only chance was being the main kick and or punt returner, probably both. But if you can't even do that, like, you're not making the team. If you can't even do what you were brought in to do, like, why even try? So, and then MVS. Ooh, MVS. I think people need to get over MVS. I think Bills fans need to just call it quits with MVS because he literally only provides you one thing. 1 or 2 deep bombs a game. That's literally it. He provides 0 in special teams. Not a single snap on special teams. Tyrell Shavers provides a ton of special teams. Special teams stalwart. Huge contributor on special teams. MVS provides you no route running. So if he's only good for 1 or 2 deep bombs a game, we don't need that anymore. Excuse me. We have Matt Collins and Keon Coleman for that. I feel like we have weapons for every level of the field. Near the line of scrimmage and run after catch guys, we have Curtis Samuel and Ray Davis, James Cook, as a receiving ability on wheel routes and stuff like that. And then middle of the field, we have Curtis Samuel also to an extent, and Dalton Kane, Dawson Knox. And then down the field, we have Matt Collins and Keon Coleman. I don't give a crap MVS. I'm sorry, but I don't. Punter Sam Martin, stock down. For every good punt, there was an even worse punt. He had 4. He had 2. He had 1 okay punt, 1 outstanding punt, and then 2 miserable punts. The 2 awful punts were, I don't know if they got caught by the wind or whatever. I don't understand why they cut Jack Browning. It seems when Sam Martin's the holder, Tyler Bass struggled all of last year. And then it seems when he's the punter, he struggles. So I don't know why they released Jack Browning, UDFA out of San Diego State. At least give the kid a shot in 3 preseason games. I mean, just because Sam Martin's the only punter on the team right now, it doesn't mean the Bills won't bring in, bring in some other guy, punter, should say rather, to compete. Maybe it is Jack Browning or someone else on cut down day. Speaking of special teams coordinator Matthew Smiley, his unit was a total mess. Multiple flags on gunners, multiple flags on kick and punt coverage, whether it was false start, offsides, and a couple field goals against the Bears. I don't understand how he has a job. I would have fired him after just 1 year with the team. Under Heath Farwell in 2021 and 2022 with the team, the Bills were one of the best special teams unit in the entire NFL. And then under Matthew Smiley last year in 2023, they were known as one of the worst teams in the NFL. Kick and punt coverage was a disaster. Punting was a disaster. Kicking was a disaster. Field position was a disaster. They always gave up explosive returns. And even against the Bears, they gave up 1 or 2 explosive returns, 2 or 3 of it, I think even. But I don't know. Matthew Smiley's got to improve or he's out. He would already be out my mouth if it were up to me. James Cook and pass protection, these are just a few things I have written down here quick to just present to you guys and explain to you guys whatever. A few notable things about certain players. I don't think the players overall necessarily did bad. First of all, the run game was non-existent. Ray Davis made us hay, if you will. In the receiving game, wheel routes, like I explained. That I'm really excited to see. But James Cook and pass protection, he looked awful. There was this one play where, funny enough, Tremaine Edmonds was James Cook's assignment. And Tremaine Edmonds is out there, he's a pterodactyl. He's 6'5", 247 pounds, where James Cook is over here 5'11", 195 pounds. I mean, come on, that's not fair. But his assignment was Tremaine Edmonds, and I feel bad. He tried, but he got blown to the ground. And then Tremaine Edmonds was able to tip up a pass from Josh Allen. And first of all, I don't even know why Josh Allen threw it. There were some questionable things that Josh Allen did in this game. Okay, he was 2 or 3 for 22 yards, no touchdowns and interceptions, whatever. But when he saw Tremaine Edmonds coming down like that, you throw the freaking ball away. We don't need to play around with this. You don't need to fit into a tight window. You're not getting it over Tremaine Edmonds' pterodactyl arms. If it was tipped up by Tremaine Edmonds, what if that ball's tipped up and intercepted in return for a pick 6? Well, that's your you-know-what right there. So I don't understand why he tried to fit that in. He should have just thrown it away to the sideline. Then Josh Allen, I know not to get on Josh Allen rant, but he's over here taking off 1 rush for 7 yards in freaking preseason. And Sean McDermott pulled him after that, so I think he was mad at him. Why do we need to show off like that? He gets overconfident. I love competitiveness, Josh, but this is preseason. But James Cook in pass production, he got railed dog. And then Keon Coleman's route running is also a big stock down for me. I know for the few reps he got in the first quarter with Josh Allen, he was going against Jalen Johnson, superstar Bears corner, who's one of the best corners in the league today. And then NFL top 5 for sure. But so that's to be expected. But Keon Coleman, like he couldn't win with leverage, and he couldn't get separation off of him. And then the end zone, they were kind of forcing him a couple end zone targets. Yeah, they were overthrown by Mitchell Trubisky on that little mini Trubisky rant I went there earlier. But I don't know. He's got to separate. He's got to learn to win with leverage. He had really some yikes routes in the red zone, down towards the end zone, and then penalties. They had 11 penalties for 75 yards. And I think there would have been like 13 or 14, but a few of them were even declined. This operation was so sloppy, like I said in the opening of this podcast in the beginning or way earlier. Like it was just so sloppy. Sean McDermott did not look happy on sideline at all. If I was there, I wouldn't either. And then all three offensive line units. This is the best way I can describe this. So listen up. The starting offensive line, bad. Second team offensive line, really bad. And third team offensive line, really awful. So you had bad to really bad to awful in descending order. Really stupid and not encouraging at all. The only one that I thought did really well for themselves was Cedric Van Pran-Granger. If the Bills don't play starters next week, including Connor McGovern at center at Pittsburgh at the Steelers after the little joint practices in technically I think it's Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area, whatever. I would love to see Cedric Van Pran-Granger hop Will Clapp in the depth chart and start next week. So I'll be looking out for that. But other than that, we were lost. Like totally garbage. I'm sorry for lack of a better term. Lack of pass rush. Starters, second string, third string. I don't know what to say. Like this pass rush has been an issue for a while. Whether it was from defensive tackles or defensive ends. Yeah, they got some late game pass rush, but that was when the Bills didn't really care and had the game firmly in hand and see what they need to see and saw what they needed to see. But this was not good. Like, no one got any pass rush. And, oh, my God, there was this one play. I literally screamed at my TV and said, that dude just got it. I said a worse word, but I'm not going to say it here. Let's just say that dude just got screwed. And that dude, what I was talking about was Dwan Smoot. Caleb Williams, play action pass on a rollout. Dwan Smoot had him right here. Like 2 inches away from him. He's grabbing him. Caleb rolls out and scampers along for 13 yards. And then this play before, the pass rush had him. And then somehow he did a little like shot push pass off his chest to DeAndre Swift. It goes for 42 yards. Poor tackling, even worse, lack of passes or lack thereof. Okay, anyway, let's get to I don't mean to say like that, but that's this whole game was. Anyway, let's get to big slice of the game award. If you were with me last year, you know what this is. If you weren't with me last year, then welcome in for the first time, whatever, all that. This is basically Player of the Game Award, but around the slice, I wanted to do something with slice. So big slice of the game award goes to kicker Tyler Bass. This was very difficult. But again, Tyler Bass, 2 of 2 for 49 yards. It wasn't difficult because there were a ton of options to pick from. It was difficult because there were a lot of awful options to pick from. No one really did anything of significance. So Tyler Bass, there you go. Big slice of the game award. Congratulations. Burnt slice of the game award. I describe this as most disappointing player. Again, slice. Yeah, whatever. You order a pizza slice, is how I describe it. You order a slice of pizza from a pizza shop, local pizza shop, whatever, and then you're expecting one thing from it, but maybe it comes out burnt or comes out disappointing. This player, I was expecting one thing, and he came out really disappointing. Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback Mitchell Trubisky, he looked awful. Like, you might need to go sign Ryan Tannehill to be a new backup quarterback and don't want Mitchell Trubisky to the practice squad. Or if he gets signed to another team, well, so be it. Who I don't get for crap. Yeah, this was really bad. And then did not play due to injury. Running back Ty Johnson, who I'm fearful they start the season on IR and I think he misses the whole preseason. Wide receiver Chase Claypool and wide receiver Matt Collins. Matt Collins is not the lock for this team. Chase Claypool, whatever. Justin Shorter, I know there's a whole Justin Shorter hive out there for the second-year receiver out of Florida because he's big and fast and athletic. But I'm not part of the Justin Shorter hive. Offensive lineman Travis Clayton, same thing as Gable Steveson. 1 or 2 years in the PAC squad at the very least. Use that PAC squad exempt spot, that 17th spot for the International Pathway Program player here. Treads clean. Offensive lineman La'el Collins, whether it's tackle or guard in training camp, who looked awful, so who really cares? And then defensive tackle Daquan Jones, not a concern. Defensive end Casey Tuhill, who's just fighting with Kingsley Jonathan, Javon Solomon right now for a spot. And linebackers Nicholas Morrow and Eddie Ulofoshio did not play as well. Eddie Ulofoshio will probably start the year on IR, I'm guessing. Maybe we'll have a whole redshirt year in the sense that Justin Shorter did last year at a totally different position. Safeties Cole Bishop and Mike Edwards. Cole Bishop, I expect to be ready for the season, but not play at all this preseason. That's unfortunate. And Mike Edwards, I think fans were overhyping the signing, but it is unfortunate that he got injured. He missed all spring, and he only had like 2 or 3 days of training camp practices, if that, around there. So he's going to start the season IR mode, 99.9% sure at this point. He missed the required 4 games. In-game injuries, defensive tackle Ed Oliver suffered an injury. I can't tell what it was, like a knee or something. It looked really bad because of non-contact at first. I was holding my breath, but luckily he was cleared. The Bills PR team put out on Twitter that he was cleared, and they said it on the broadcast, but he just didn't need to come back in because, it's a preseason game. The defensive stars were out anywhere. He was smiling, laughing, talking to his teammates with his helmet and in full uniform still on the sidelines. He was fine. And then checking in on key roster battles, starting or otherwise. RB2 will be Ray Davis. Ty Johnson's just going to he's going to come back way too late to kind of push for RB2. Wide receiver 5 seems to truly between Tyler Scherers and MVS right now. But newly signed Demir Bird, if he's going to be the main returner now, he gets some chances a lot in this last 2 preseason games. He could challenge for that as well. Right now, I would sort it as Tyler Scherers, then MVS, then Demir Bird. But if Demir Bird passes MVS in the depth chart, or like how he's looking in preseason games and practices and camp back in Orchard Park, then that's quite embarrassing for MVS. And offensive line depth is still very much a battle right now between La'el Collins, Richard Grodge, and Tylen Grable. I would categorize it now like Richard Grodge and Tylen Grable tied and La'el Collins, who really cares about, way behind them. And then defensive ends 5 right now seems to be Javon Salmon. Javon Salmon, pretty clear right now, seems to be defensive end 5. If they keep only 5, then as they have the top 4 plus Solomon. If you keep 6, the top 4 that we all know about as locks plus Solomon and Kingsley Jonathan rather. And then DeMar Hamlin will be the second starting safety opposite Taylor Rapp this season. Like Mike Edwards ain't coming back. He's probably going to miss 4 games due to IR, and Cole Bishop going to miss all preseason. He's just a rookie. And then Cam Lewis hasn't really gotten opportunities there. Kick/punt return job is still very much up in the air, and it has to be very much sorted out still. Like the main candidates are Andy Isabella, KJ Handler. Although his candidacy might be gone, he might be cut before actual official cut on day. Who knows? Like he muffed the punt. Like that's unacceptable. Darrington Evans, but I'm really intrigued with this Demir Bird to get more kick and punt return opportunities. Okay. Anyway. Sorry, guys. I know that was a really negative episode, but I got to be honest on the podcast, and this is just what I'm thinking right now. The whole operation was sloppy. Everyone was sloppy. All 3 starters, second stringers, third stringers, like no one stepped up. They had literally no energy. I know it. People say there's a crowd that says, "Oh, this is just preseason. Let's calm down. There's nothing to take away from preseason." This is what podcasts are for, to overreact. So I'm overreacting, and I think rightfully reacting as well. Okay, back to positive stuff. So anyway, you guys can find me personally on Twitter at aweiner13. I tweet a lot of takes and stuff on there and whatnot. And then you can follow the show on Twitter at Around Slice. And then you can, of course, watch and or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or, of course, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And then lastly, if you would like to support me on Patreon for just $3 a month, you can get extra exclusive bonus content not found anywhere else, not even on this podcast, just to you guys as patrons. That's what you would be considered as. So that for just $3 a month, that's patreon.com/aroundtheslice. I always put it in the description, whatever platform you're on. And then last thing I almost forgot about. I'm at 22 subscribers right now. I'm on the road to 30 by the time the Bills kick off week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals, Sunday, September 8th at 1 p.m. in Orchard Park. Anyways, guys, thank you. Hopefully, we can preview a better game in a few days, but I will be back in 2 or 3 days. I'm don't have a concrete date yet to preview the Bills-Steelers game. This is in Pittsburgh. I don't want starters playing again, but if I were to predict, McDermott will play the starters, which is a stupid decision, but I don't think he liked what he saw. So anyways, I'll see you guys in a few days for that. Bye.